what would you do differently with respect to Libya, to the Middle East right now?
Well, first of all, the rebels, nobody knows who the rebels are, so you have to be very careful. And if you're doing it on a humanitarian, he should have done it 2 or 3 weeks earlier, because a lot of people died during that 2 weeks while they were trying to make up their minds as to what to do. But the big problem, frankly, with the Gaddafi thing is, who are the rebels? I hear they're tied to Iran. I hear they're tied to Al-Qaeda.
I guess I'm saying, would you intervene in that situation or not if you were President Obama?
I'd have to find out who the rebels were. But I'll tell you what, I'm only interested in Libya if we take the oil. If we don't take the oil, I have no interest in Libya.
So your Middle East policy is basically guided by our interest in oil?
My Middle East, yeah, which are I always heard that. I always heard that when we went into Iraq, we went in for the oil. I said, that sounds smart, except we never did. So we're into Iraq for $1.5 trillion, thousands of lives and wounded, but thousands and thousands of lives and wounded. And here's what's going to happen. As sure as you're sitting there, as soon as we leave Iraq, Iran is going to go and take over Iraq and take over those huge oil fields, second largest to Saudi Arabia. And that wouldn't happen, believe me, if it were up to me.
So you would keep troops in Iraq after this year?
I would take the oil.
I don't understand how you would take the... Does that mean keeping troops there or staying involved in Iraq?
You heard me. I would take the oil. I would not leave Iraq and let Iran take over the oil, because you know what? We have thousands of people that died. Our great soldiers, they died. Men and women, lots of people. We have thousands of people all over this country that are wounded, horribly wounded, with legs and arms and lots of... Excuse me.
No, I'm sorry.
And I would not want to be the one that would tell their parents that your son, your daughter has died in vain, been wounded in vain. But I would not want to be the one that goes up to somebody that had a son or a daughter that died in Iraq and tell them, by the way, Iran is taking over Iraq, because we have so weakened that nation that they essentially don't have an army that could fight back, as they have for hundreds of years. So I would absolutely keep the... I'd give plenty to Iraq. I'd keep plenty for us. I'd pay back Britain. I'd pay back everybody.
I think
that
the
was
people
involved.
fighting, the soldiers fighting in Iraq were also fighting for freedom, not necessarily fighting for oil. And I think what you seem to be saying is that our interest in our troops and our decisions about Middle East policy should be made with respect to getting our hands on oil.
No. Whether or not we should have been in Iraq, that's one question. But we're there. Iran will take over Iraq as soon as we leave. They're already, in fact, from what I've understood, and I think I have pretty good sources also, I believe that Iran is already talking to those people about that. The day we leave, I'm not even sure they're going to have to fire a shot, because they're closer to those people leading Iraq than we are. And the Iraqi leaders like Iran, and they like the Iranians better than they like us. So I'm not even sure a shot's going to be fired. And it won't happen on my watch that Iraq goes to Iran, and in particular that all of the second largest oil fields in the world go over to Iran. That won't happen.
So you will guarantee that we will have a presence, that we will spend money, send troops, do whatever it takes in order to secure access to oil?
Money. We will make a fortune. We will make money. They have $15 trillion worth of oil in Iraq. $15 trillion. We will make a lot of money. We will not lose that oil.
So you would basically nationalize Iraq in order to sell its oil and take the profit?
We are not going to hand that oil to Iran. And as far as Libya is concerned, I have only one interest in Libya. And by the way, it should be China that's interested in Libya, because they get their oil from Libya. We get nothing from Libya.
China is interested in a lot of the oil in
sure,
a lot of these countries.
Of course, because they're intelligent. Okay, unlike our leaders, the Chinese leaders are intelligent. Of course they're interested in the oil. We're not interested in the oil because we don't have the right leadership. As far as Libya is concerned, I'd only be interested in Libya if we get the oil. Without the oil, I have no interest, and we shouldn't be there.